Hey everybody, and welcome to Type A-. Today I want to talk about how to write Substack articles that people actually want to read, that people will actually open up, click on, subscribe, and help you build whatever it is that you're looking to build out there. I've been so privileged to get to work with hundreds of fascinating creatives and business owners over the last year since I opened up my Substack audits. And if you're interested in getting one of those for yourself, the price is going to be going up on those, so you can book one of those right now in the description below. These leaders range from psychologists who are sick of working at their practice and are ready to write a book, and their book agent is telling them you need to have an email list. These are independent journalists who are watching their jobs dry up all around them and realizing that this is a craft that they love, that they want to keep doing, and they can do it on Substack. And then, of course, there are so many brilliant writers and artists and creative people who know they can do something powerful using the internet. And Substack is actually a really easy tool to get them closer to where they want to go. And in nearly every one of these meetings, the same three things come up, but perhaps they are things that you have not even considered or would give you some helpful food for thought as you figure out what your next steps are when using this very powerful platform. One of the first questions in my Substack audits that I ask people, if it isn't evidently obvious from looking at their profile, and usually it's not, is who are you actually writing to? Who's the ideal person who's opening up that Substack essay when you send it? And can you tell me a little bit about them? And people usually kind of stumble through this a little bit, but haven't actually reflected on who's their ideal person on the other side of the screen. And this is a weird marketing exercise. I really struggled with this early on when it came to incorporating ADHD into the way that I talk about myself and my work and my business, because I know that the work that I do with attention and focus, minimizing distractions, creating a more happy and joyful life, I know that this stuff is something that everybody who has a phone is struggling with. And so it feels like everything I teach is so universal. But when I do that, then my message gets kind of diluted down and it's much harder for people to find me. So what happened instead when I started actually integrating and letting my ADHD hang out all over the place in the way that I write and speak and teach is that it becomes much more relatable to people, because even if you yourself don't have ADHD, you likely know and love someone who does. And also, most of us are really struggling with executive dysfunction because the world is a really stressful place to live in right now. So when I use language that is sharper and is more specific to the experience of being ADHD, it actually sharpens my writing and makes it easier for people to relate to me. Because ultimately, when somebody is reading your Substack, they're asking themselves, what's in it for me? What do I get out of being here? If you just want to write journal entries on Substack, then ignore everything I'm saying. But if you want to grow your email list for whatever reason, maybe you want to start a shop or you want to write a book, or I don't know, whatever your dream is, this is a really important thing that so many people miss, which is that you have to know who the person is on the other side of the screen, ideally, and what it is that they need from you. So when it comes to your audience, think about who you would love to sit across the table from and have a coffee with. Like maybe it's one of your friends, maybe it's a past version of you, maybe it's a fantasy celebrity person, I don't know. Whose energy would you want to bask in for an hour while you guys have coffee and chit chat? Who can learn something from you? Think about all of those different archetypes, that kind of a vibe of a person. And then remember, as you're writing, that you're writing to that person. It's going to feel so much easier because you're going to be able to write the way that you speak. You're going to be able to write in a way that feels connected. And we all know what it feels like to ask yourself if you're reading somebody's AI slop. You, as a writer, have the power to make sure that nobody ever thinks they're reading AI slop, because it is so you. It is so unequivocally your voice, because you know exactly the kind of person you're talking to. A second obvious and very easy thing to remedy is around how you format your posts. Optimize for skimmers. Now, pay attention to your own behavior when you go to somebody's Substack essay or when you're looking at a website that you've never seen before. Most likely, here's what would happen is that you would scroll and you would kind of look for the main headlines. You would look for the images. You would look for things that break up the scroll in a way that is useful for you to know whether or not you want to give this thing your attention. When you are on the internet, no matter where you are, everything is a competition for attention. And this can feel really icky if you let yourself go there, or you can use your full power and occupy your space as a creative person and understand that your message positioned the right way will be like a lighthouse for the right people to find you. And we'll get into that one a little bit on point number 3, but let's get back to formatting. So one of the easiest things that you can do is to use the header settings, header 1, header 2, header 3, that differentiate the font and the size to help visually break it up for your reader. So you can ask yourself, okay, what is this section about? And you can kind of frame it for that. The other way you can do this is with images. And I really have a firm stance that you should just use images from your real life if you can. It is a sprinkle of connection and relatability with the reader that is like such a huge win, and people are just missing it. And I don't know if it's because we only think we can share images of our lives on Instagram, or I don't know what it is. I don't really care about the unsplash photo. I definitely don't want to see an AI photo. Something else you could do is use Giphy or use like a Giphy channel. It's a way to inject personality into something that helps me get to know you as the writer a little bit better. And then the third way you can do this is with subscriber boxes, using the subscribe with caption and then rewrite a little caption, maybe in your own voice, maybe something that feels like you, feels relatable. Are you getting a theme here? I wasn't even planning on this whole using it as like an energetic connection thing here, but it is like, this is really a very underutilized way of thinking about your Substack. But think about the reader and think about how they might absorb the information you're trying to share in the best possible way. And then the last major opportunity I've seen in my Substack audits has to do with how you title and use thumbnails on your articles. Let's talk about titles first. A title is one of the most important things you can spend time on for your publication. It's the actual thing that's going to make somebody click on it or ignore it completely. So often when I do my Substack audits, I look at somebody's page and no doubt they have a really interesting message to show, but I don't really know what to click on first because I don't know what anything is about. These titles are all very poetic and creative and esoteric, and I feel like we've gotten lost in like the Joan Didionification of how we think about ourselves as writers that I can't even tell what you're trying to say. I don't even know what message you're trying to get across, and you might not either. I find it helpful to think about my Substack posts and my YouTube videos as little packages that I'm sending out into the world. And if you got my package, there would be a label on the top telling you what it is. And you can decide when you get this package whether or not you want to open it. Maybe you want to just throw it on the pile with all the other packages that you weren't interested in opening. Or maybe you're like, oh, this is so interesting to me. I can't wait to open up this package. There is an old marketing adage that has totally changed how I think about content and content creation, which is clear over clever. Clear over clever. Many of us write our pieces and then we think about this elegant title we can give it that actually is not going to mean anything to somebody who doesn't know what the contents of the newsletter is yet. Like, we're thinking about it in reverse. And what we have to do is, again, think about it from the perspective of the reader and say, I'm going to tell you what this is, and then you can open it or not. I'm going to give you a premise. I'm going to give you a promise. I'm going to give you something sticky to hold on to, not feathery and esoteric and artsy. Actually, something real and concrete, because I have information in this little packet that I'm so excited to share with you. The other opportunity is thumbnails. And now that I'm creating YouTube videos, I'm usually just using the same thumbnail that I create for YouTube, but if you didn't want to show your face on Substack, you can use a beautiful image, and then you can use that whole thing to create some kind of text. It's like additional real estate to tell people what your piece is about. And again, we're going for clear over clever, but this is like a huge missed opportunity for people that I can't believe I've never heard anybody talk about. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about what was actually useful or helpful from today's episode. And if you know somebody who could benefit from it, please share it with them. If you are interested in booking a Substack audit with me, I will leave the information down in the show notes today, and you can book one before the price goes up very shortly. And thank you so much for being here. I will see you on the next one.